and welcome everyone. So today we are dedicating 1 hour to talking about what is search engine optimization, and the level of knowledge might be very diverse because I know many of the people in the room and we all come from a business background, but the level of knowledge around digital marketing and SEO tools can be quite different. So some of the things may be things that you heard already, but it's always worth it to have a little bit of a recap. I will always aim to try and have as much of a basic language as possible, despite the accent. And so I will shy away from every sort of jargon, but if there is anything that we say and doesn't seem very clear, we'll go through everything, any question, everything at the end. So let me start sharing my screen. And you will have a recording, you will have all of the slides at the end, so within the recording, so we can discuss and even later on, you'll have my email and we can keep chatting about any of these points. Now, why do we do SEO, search engine optimization, first of all? Because having a website is one of the fundamental assets for a business, but it's just not enough. Because having a website just for the sake of sharing and showing it around to people doesn't help you get more customers. A website should be an active source of leads, something that keeps bringing you, fetching you new inquiries every day, even when you sleep. And that can only happen if people can find your website. For whatever you offer, there is a market, there is somebody searching for it, and it's just a matter of doing the right level of changes. SEO, as you know, is something that encompasses many different elements. Today we'll look at the most important ones. Some are very technical, so we'll only touch them very briefly. I will tell you what to do, but just in a very, very easy way. And they are all things that you can do on your own without spending any money. All of the things that we will share today. Then if you want to get different sort of support, that's up to you. But the things that you will hear today, they're all DIY-able. Now, a little bit about me. I'm pretty sure you know me. Most of you know me very well so far, but I've been doing this job for 12 years now. I've been seeing the industry change a lot. Lots of different penalizations and changes in the algorithm. I come from Italy, as it's very easy to understand. We used to have a full round digital agency back there. Now here we have a pure play SEO agency, which means that we only specialize in optimizing websites. And that's been working very well because SEO, as you will see, is a very in-depth sort of discipline. And all the people in the team, we got 6 team members, Valerie is one of us, and we are all specialized in different areas. So there are coding experts, words, copywriting, content experts, SEO experts, and it's lots of different pieces to make the puzzle. First of all, why do we do this and why does Google care about how we optimize websites? Just consider that as of now, there are more than 1 billion websites existing online. And for many industries in particular, it's really, really crowded. Every hour, 10,000 new websites are being created. So the competition is crazy. And if you think of Google, the poor Google, the work that has to do, they need to find the most relevant, this is in their mission, the most relevant and reliable information available among all of these 1 billion websites. That's not an easy feat. So they need to have many elements of quality check, many criteria to try and see who's trying to cheat the system and who's really offering value, because in the end their mission is to give the best search experience to their users, showing the best results. So optimizing, as we do, is trying to put in front on top of the others. It's a zero-sum game. So you are on the first page of Google if you push somebody down. There are just 10 places, and as the saying goes, if you want to find the safest place to hide a safe body, a dead body, that's the second page of Google. So because people won't be searching, won't be finding you if you're not on that position. But that means that you need to be better than your site, the sort of information that need to be better than the competitors. Otherwise, it just won't work. There are no more shortcuts. And anytime there is any attempt of cheating the algorithm, what we do today, what I'll teach you today is called white hat SEO, which are all of the good things that you can do to improve the way Google will find you. Then there is a lot of black hat techniques. I would never teach you any of them because they're really, really dangerous, and getting penalized is really easy, and recovering from a penalization is very long and painful. So let's not really think about that. Now, this is one of the things that, if you know me, I say all the time. SEO is a triangle. Same as the 3 letters, SEO, same as the 3 sides. And that's easy and handy for you to keep in mind. 3 legs of a stool. You need to remember that it doesn't just work if you don't keep in mind all of them. Coding, content, and backlinks. We need to be paying a little bit of attention to all of them. We can't pretend to only optimize a website by putting keywords on Yoast and getting Yoast green, because that would be like wanting to have a triangle with just one side, or starting to buy links from the links reseller that every day we get emails to, and they manage to escape any spam filter telling us tomorrow you'll be on the first page of Google. Actually, they're selling you links. Some are shady, but it's just, again, one side of the triangle. You need to make sure it may not all the sides be long enough, because now we are looking at code. I won't kill you with technical things with code. Don't be terrified, because I know that many people are worried about technical and coding. I'm just going to be telling you the very main things. And if you want more, there are ways to get more, but for your DIY, it's just important if you consider, first thing, that not all platforms are the same. There are different platforms, different CMSs that a website can be on. You can have a WordPress, you can have a Wix, you can have a Squarespace, you can have a Shopify, a Magento, you name them. There are so many. They are not all the same from an SEO point of view, coding-wise.
Now, and just drop it at the reception.
Sorry,
Okay.
Valerie, can you keep people muted? Just because otherwise we can't. We don't. And what we need to make sure is that when we know our website, the platform it will be built, if you can choose, then you need to try and get some platforms that you have as much power of optimizing the coding assets as possible. As of now, that is WordPress, because every single element can be detached and optimized as a Lego brick. So you can really go and optimize everything. This does not mean that you can't have a Wix website that ranks on Google. It would be like having a triangle that doesn't have all the sides long enough. It could have a shorter side on the coding element, but we can compensate, we can balance having great content and very good backlinks. It's just a matter of knowing where you stand, because there are some platforms, again, Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, you don't get entirely the propriety of your coding. You are kind of renting a part of that, and you are not allowed to change some of the elements. They are as they are, and you can't really change some of them. So at least you know what can be done and what cannot. As much as possible, we need to take care of those most important elements. Here, I've listed page speed. That is nowadays really important. These are all checks that you can do on your own. This is Google test, this as well. HTTPS, you will see it when you look at the URL of your website. If the encryption protocol is not there, Google won't really like your website. Users will see the writing, your website is not secure, this website is not secure, and it's not a big thing to get that. It's generally something that you pay a little bit of an extra in your hosting plan. Totally doable and really important, not just if you have an e-commerce, because you don't need a secure connection only if you have an e-commerce. Every website now needs to have a secure protocol. Mobile friendly, now there shouldn't be any more non-mobile friendly websites at all yet. It still happens, so it's worth having a check. Page speed, this tool is from Google. There are other tools that you can check, for example, GT Metrics, that again is free, but this is what Google will consider your site. So you want to make good with Google, so it's the ideal place to check. And it will look like a traffic light, red, amber, and green. It will give you a percentage of score up to 100. Different percentage for mobile and for desktop. Having a good page speed on mobile is always a little bit harder, so you will see that mobile page speed is always a little bit harder to achieve, but it is important, really, really, really. So if you see that you're not doing well in some of these things, I'm not asking you to be able to fix your own issues, but at least you become aware of what might be an outstanding issue, and then you can ask for help to someone. Also, I would like to give you all the possibility of getting a free audit of the site. I put this in other pages as well, so you can scan it on your mobile. I will put the link at the end as well. We will check the site. We've done it completely for free. We've done a lot of them, in particular with all the cost of living crisis and businesses being in trouble. We've been analyzing lots of websites. At least you will know where the issues are and which issues may be there, because there are some things that you may not see, and they're behind the main appearance of the website. So let's go back to our triangle. So we've seen coding wise, we need to have a site that Google can crawl, can index, that doesn't have any blockages, that lets Google scan behind the scenes, not just what we see in front within the code. Now we enter the realm of things that you can really do on your own, because coding wise, unless you have some coding knowledge, you need to know that this is important. You need to know where you may have a couple of issues, but often there is not much that you can do on your own. Content and links, there is worlds of things that you can do on your own. First of all, making an audit of your content, which doesn't need any specifically exquisitely technical tools. You can just start with an Excel file and you list down every single URL, every single page of your site, all of them. It can be your pages, your blog posts, your products, if you've got an e-commerce, your categories, product categories, all of them. They all need to be there. At least you have a catalog, you have a screen of every single coding asset that you have. And you will see that this is surprising, because particularly if your website has been running for a while, What always happens is that we keep on piling up content and we produce new content, which is good. I will tell you why. But we end up having a content bloat, which is a technical term. It means that the site has been growing a lot and it may need a little bit of trimming. Because if you know how it works, basically there is a crawling budget, which is the time that Google allocates to every website, and it's a matter of seconds. It's not so much. That crawling budget is dedicated to crawl the entirety of your website. If on your website you still have plenty of things that you don't need anymore, events that you ran 4 years ago, COVID safety pages that you don't need anymore, all of the things that you could get rid, and if people find them now, it's not updated. It's stuff that you don't really want to have anymore. You're wasting your crawling budget just with content that people don't need. So it's ideal to get people within the website to only enjoy the content that you need and Google at the same time, so you don't waste your crawling budget. Again, within the audit that we will do, we also make a crawling of the content, so we can generate this content audit for you. And often there are hidden pages that you didn't know about, theme pages that you didn't need, they're still there buried. Google will see them, people may see them, you didn't even know that they were there. So again, that's important, and then we can see together what things you may get rid of. And that gets us to the critical moment in which we evaluate your content assets and we say, okay, this is what you have now. How old is that? Is that still relevant? If it's too old, is it something that you need to update? Because maybe you've changed. Businesses change all the time. And the good things with websites is that they can follow us. They're not written in stone. So we need to keep the website to grow together with the business and to follow exactly the direction that the business is. And it just takes a click. It's not a printed magazine. We can change it at any time, and we should change it at any time. The call to actions that you have on pages, if you have call to actions, because most pages, most articles don't even have anything. Oh, they may be outdated. So by the time you created that article, you were pushing some products, some events, some services in particular, and now there is something else that is a priority for the business. So let's relook at that, because if they find you, that's your 1 minute on the stage, that's where you really can get their attention. Let's make it work. Also, you may repurpose some of this content, even on your social media. If you shared them a long time ago, if they were, the audience may still want to see some things. So it's quite insightful to think of when was the last time that you tweaked that. And changing elements on pages, editing, updating pages, it helps. And we'll talk more about this when we start talking about creating content. Because another thing that you may not know about how Google works is that there are mainly 3 elements in Google. One is the crawler bots that go, those little spiders go and scan all the time the internet. One is the algorithm that arranges the results and who's winning for each keyword. And one is the index. And the index is, you can imagine, the biggest library, the most massive library that you can ever imagine. And it's all made of websites. Every time Google finds a website, they will store a copy in the index. The next time it's crawling your site within the crawling budget, the first thing they do, the crawlers, the crawler bots, is let's check if the copy I find today is the same, exactly a mirror copy of the one that I have in the index. If so, let's save resources. I skip the indexing. I completely avoid recrawling this site because it hasn't changed. I already have a copy of that. I don't need to crawl it as well again. So what happens is that the site will not be crawled. They will move on to the next one. But what if instead the copy they find today is not exactly the same that they scanned last time? So if in the meantime you've changed something, you've created a new article, you've edited a page, I'm talking substantial edits, not just like adding a comma or changing the dates, because that is something that is a little bit manipulative and people have been trying to do that all the time. Let's see if I change the date, Google will think that I've updated the article. No, it's not that. But if you actually update the content, you add pieces, you change pieces, then Google will see that the copy doesn't match and they will recrawl entirely your site. What happens is that the copy that is in the index will state as last scan today. All things being equal, if two websites are competing to rank for the same keyword, then the one that has been updated more recently will win the ranking better because Google will think that it's able to provide a better user experience. It's more freshly updated. So that is why we tend to keep the last copy as freshly updated as possible. So editing, retweaking pages helps also for SEO purposes, not just for user experience, but you will see that user experience and SEO really go hand in hand. So if you do something that benefits the user experience, like changing the navigation on the site without breaking links, or making pages more accessible, or improving the page speed, improving the way people can find some information, interlinking pages together, you will see that user experience and SEO, they go hand in hand, and Google will always reward the way the user experience is going. Also because they have recently added a lot of artificial intelligence machine learning elements in the algorithm, and they are able to track how good the user experience is on a website, how many pages are checked, how much time people spend on a page, how much is the bounce rate. If people are having a good experience on your website, Google will promote the site. If people are having a bad experience, they're leaving the site straight away, high bounce rate, low time spent on a site, not enough pages being viewed, Google will deduct that the site is not able to give a good user experience and it may rank worse and worse. So it's really well interconnected. Now, after you've done this analysis and you've decided which are the good, valuable pages to keep on your website, what you need to do now is matching what your user is searching for and your pages. And in order to do that, you need to become aware of what your user is searching for. Enter the world of keyword research. There are so many tools that you can use to do keyword research, which is not your own assumption. Because every time we start doing this with our own assumption and we start brainstorming, and it's a good base to start, we start brainstorming what we think that people search for. Then we dive into data, into what people really search for, and we will see that there is a discrepancy. It's not the same. Because as business owners, we have a knowledge. We know the right terms, the most appropriate terms to use. Our users don't. Our users very often use jargon. They use very colloquial ways of talking and searching. They may use not really appropriate terms to describe what we do. But we need to be found for what they use, because Google, otherwise, if on the page there are not the same words that somebody's searching for, how can Google make this sort of matching? So we need to become aware, and we need to do this sort of keyword research. There's plenty of paid tools. I will just go through the free ones, as I promised. There's always going to be free resources in here. Google Trends, that is nice and insightful to see what's trending in your industry, and it gives you lots of keyword ideas. People also ask you, find it on Google itself, same as the auto suggest. If you start typing something on Google, you will see that Google will auto compile it for you based on what people usually search for. That gives you some keyword research. It doesn't give you numbers. It doesn't give you metrics of volume of search, keyword difficulty, all of these technical metrics. You can leave them to people who are doing, unless you are interested. In that case, you need to pay to have metrics. Otherwise, if you're interested in qualitative things, then you can find plenty for free online. Answer the Public used to be an independent tool. It has been bought, I think, this summer by the guy Neil Patel, who's been buying everything SEO-wise. So he used to have Ubersuggest, which used to be free. Now it's free for like 3 searches per day. And also Answer the Public now belongs to him, and you can't have that much for free. But if you organize a little bit of searches per day, then you can get done quite a lot. In all these keywords, they are not all born equal. So the more vague you are, the hardest it is to rank, because being vague doesn't help you, in particular with the specific interest in what users search for. Because if, let me give you an example, which is not just this one here. Here you see, for example, business coaching. You have a business coaching. Can you hear me? Yeah. Can everybody hear me? Cool. Thank you, Julie. Business coaching, you have a billion of results, a lot of results. If you add some more elements, even if they're obvious, like business coaching for entrepreneurs, well, thank you. It's already shorter. It's already more pinpointed. You know what? Because business coaching in this way cannot just be somebody who's in need of business coaching services. This can be competitors, people who want to become a business coach. This can be industry stats. This already, even if it's adding the obvious, it's making it more defined into search intent, which is why are people searching for that. What if you add even more precise determination, like business coaching for fitness professionals? Do you see how much easier it is? I know it still looks like it's a lot, but believe me, it becomes much, much easier this way. It's like if you're running a race and if you're trying to win against billions of other runners, or if you are running against a smaller number of competitors. Again, we said it's a zero-sum type of game. You need to push down somebody from the first page by being better than them, and it's easier to be better than a smaller number of people, just statistically. So long tail keywords, meaning that we are adding more elements. The other example that I sometimes do is with shoes. Let's pretend you want to rank for shoes only. That is impossible because it can mean everything and anything, like the history of the shoes in the world, any sort of shoes in any sort of scenario. Let's pretend that you've got an e-commerce selling, I don't know, tennis shoes. So you add an element and you have like white shoes. that will decrease the volume, but massively. And people, when they look at volumes, they always say, but I want more, I want high volumes. That is a little bit of a vanity metrics, a little bit of a vanity figure, because big volumes often means vague, and vague is not your friend with SEO. You want really pinpointed, because in that you can shine. Particularly if we are small businesses, we need to have attainable goals. We can't aim to get unattainable things. So white shoes is already cutting out like the shoes of the world, the history of the shoes and things like that. But still, if you've got like tennis shoes, you may be misunderstood for wedding shoes, white shoes. So let's add another piece to the tail. So now we have like white tennis shoes. Now this is much more defined, and you will see that the number of people that you're competing against are your real competitors, are other businesses like you selling online sports shoes. So that is the real brand. Let's try and add more elements. So on that e-commerce page of yours, in the title, in the meta descriptions, I'll tell you where, you add elements like brand name, the model, the size. If you've got a specific page, generally you shouldn't. There should be variations on the product. But in this case, when people are searching, for example, for white tennis shoes of this brand, this model, and this size, they basically have their credit card right next to the mouse and they're ready to buy. So the search intent is really shrinked to the buyer. So it's much, much easier to convert them. In the vague state, you don't convert that easily. So the more pinpointed you go, the more you're really talking to your customer. So keyword research is a very strategic, it's the most strategic sort of exercise that you will do in this role. And it's the one that I recommend you spend the most of the time, because the rest is just technical. The rest is just matching keywords to pages, for example. So when you've got that Excel file, and you got, for example, 30 rows of pages, you need to do this exercise for each of them, because you can't reuse the same keyword on same pages. You got so many competitors outside of your business that you don't want to have an internal competition in 2 pages to try and rank for the same keyword. That would be pointless. It's called cannibalism. It's a bad word, but we don't really want to be competing internally. So every page needs to target its own search intent. What do people search for? What do people want when I want them to find this page? It's a very strategic sort of matching, a one-to-one relationship, because then that page may end up to rank for more keywords. I'm not saying that it will only rank for one keyword, but keywords are not like pins that you keep adding to a page. I want this to rank for this, and that. We need to have one-to-one, a one main reason, a one main keyword. And then what we need to do is to make sure that we use that keyword that we have chosen for every page in all the right places in which the crawler bot would be checking. Because the crawler bot, spider bot, or crawler, whatever you want to call it, it's basically a program. Lots of programs, they're just sent out to scan and crawl. And they have a programming which is every time you find the page, check what it is about. How do they check what it is about? They have a list of points to check and understand. Titles, headings, and you have no idea how many websites and pages I see that do not have a heading. I mean, the crawler bot finds the page and say, okay, let me see what's in the heading. There is nothing in the heading. And I'm talking main heading. The main heading is like the title on a book. If I want to buy a book, I try to understand what this book is about. I read the title. You have no idea how many pages do not have anything in the H1. H2, H3 subheadings, you can have as many as you want, but the H1, the main title of the page, should be one only. This should be clear, not because there are cases in which one page will have 7 H1s. Again, it's the coding. You may not see it. It's just the way the page has been made. And it maybe looks amazing, which is what I say sometimes behind the scenes. There may be things that you are not seeing, because it may seem amazing, and then Google, when it's scrolling it, it has no H1 at all, or it has 7 H1s, and Google is trying to say, okay, what is the real title of this page? What should I target? Or H1s which are very poetic, but have no real meaning. Let's say, for example, you've got an e-commerce of furniture, and you're having a page on the latest dining room chairs, and the H1 on the page is the dawn of a new era. And Google sees that page and it says, okay, what is this about? Because that page should be ranking for dining room chairs. So we need to, when I say don't play hide and seek, is this: if you want that page to rank for that keyword, and you've done the exercise, you've done the Excel file, you know your pages, you know your keywords, then you need to make them appear in these parts consistently. So that keyword that you want needs to be in the heading, in the title, in the URL, which is this one here in green. This is the title, which is different from the heading, because the title is the one that you find on Google. Technically, the way we call it, the heading, the H1, is the main title on the page. Pages will always have a title, may often not have a heading, or a main heading at least. It needs to be there in the images, because also images can help you rank better, and they can be optimized for keyword, for size, which helps page speed. Lots of optimization can be done on images. In the meta description, which is this little blurb that you find in the on Google to describe the page. If you don't put anything, Google will always generate a meta description based on what it finds on the page, but it will not look as polished, as finished as if you write it yourself. So make sure you write it. You only have a number of characters, 60 characters for the title, 155 for the meta description, but make sure that you write it catchy with a call to action, because when they find that result on Google, even if you happen to get on the first page of Google, you will not be alone. You will be together with 9 other sites. So why would I want to click on your result instead of somebody else? Because it reads well, it sounds nice, it sounds enticing. So you need to make sure that this meta description actually makes me want to click on that. I'm not saying clickbait. I'm saying let's make it worth it. Let's make it really sound well. And we'll talk about ChatGPT as well in a little bit, because I know we are all thinking about that in this moment. And the copy, so the content of the page needs to have those keywords. If you want that page to rank for dining room chairs, you need to have that in the page. And again, you have no idea how many times I've seen people who want to rank for something and that those words are not to be found on the page. And keep producing content. So as we were saying, we need to make sure that the next time Google crawls the site, it's not the same as the copy that is in the index. There is something new. This nice little thing that you see here is what now is working the best in terms of content creation in Google. It's the cluster content, pillar content sort of way. So you have a main topic, and then you have all a subcluster of subtopics, all internally nicely interconnected. These green lines are really the juice and the bloodline of a website, because they are all internal links interconnecting pages together. And links are the only road on which the crawler bots can go. If a page does not have any link, the crawler bot cannot reach it. It's called orphan. It means that that page is unreachable and it will never rank. So the more streets you have that point to a page, look how many points, arrows are pointing to the center, because that's generally the hardest one to rank, and you have so many internal links pointing to it to help it out. And each of them here has got 2, 3 links pointing to, because this is a to and fro. So it's all helping each other. all of the pages and the user experience as well. I welcome you into a room of my home and I show you around and I show you all the other pages of the site. I show you how much I've written. I show you how much expertise, experience, knowledge I have. And in the end, I develop this know, like, and trust sort of relationship with the user. So they will feel grateful that I've shared so much information in this blog, in this website, that if they ever have to get somebody to give them that service or product, they will buy it from you because they know you know your stuff. They've read a lot from you. They know that they can trust you, so they are more inclined to become your clients. So this system is the one that nowadays is working better. Minimum 300 words, because I see pieces of content, they're so short and people don't understand that one thing that Google will do is not counting words, but it's basically checking if coding to content is balanced. So if there is a lot of code, because the code is fluffy, it's redundant, it should be trimmed, minified, that's technical things, it's not been done, so the coding is huge. And the content is minimal. What Google may think is that it's thin content, and there are penalizations for thin content. We don't want to be penalized. So we need to try and have coding as minimal, if possible, minifying the coding assets, but also making sure that the content is insightful and informative and long enough. 300 words is just the ballpark figure. You'll see it on Yoast if you use it. You'll see it in many recommendations because that's what generally outbalances coding and content. If you stick a minimum of 300 words, good, valuable content, you may be safe from that sort of coding to content ratio. The more the better, because you will see nowadays when we look at the stats and how for every keyword, we can tell you how long it should be, because we can check with technical tools, benchmarking the top 10 ranking websites on Google. If you want to get up there, you should be at least as good as they are. So how long your piece should be. And these pieces are becoming always longer and longer and longer, like 1,200, 1,300, and so on. So 300 is really, really low, but you won't believe how many sites I see that have much, much shorter than this, and particularly when they're product descriptions, e-commerce, service pages, sub-descriptions. We need at least to get to that, if not much more. Internal links, so make sure that every page is internally linked, and ask them to do something. Once you've read everything from me, now what do I want you to be doing now? Buy from me, get this product, inquire, get my free consultation, download this PDF, subscribe to our newsletter, you name it. It can change. Every page can have a different call to action, but call to get an action. Otherwise, if you don't ask, you won't get it. You need to ask for something and ask it several times. So ask just one thing per page, otherwise they will get confused, but keep on asking every time. This is a nice book if you're interested. It's done also the video version now with videos, but that is a basics if you want to know how to develop your content. I've been given it as a gift to so many people. Now, our friend ChatGPT, everybody's talking about it. Now, can we use it? Yes, because Google initially made a lot of scandals saying, no, you can't, it's seen as manipulation, and everybody was worried. So then that is why in November last year, just before ChatGPT exploded, they said, you can use it as long as the content you produce with artificial generated content is not spammy. They've just added the word spammy to the Google guidelines. So yes, you can use it, but what we've seen is that if there is a human revision behind the content, it's always going to be ranking better, because the way the machine is speaking, I'm pretty sure most of you have used it, is very standard. It's not your tone of voice. It's not the real company brand tone of voice. So you know the Pareto law, 80% of things can only generate a 20% result, 20% of things will generate an 80% of result. There is this imbalance. Now with machine and human, you will see that the 20% of revision that you do, or your copywriters or your social media people do, will not be creating from scratch in most cases. They will start from a nice base of things that the artificial intelligence can create, but then you need to adapt it really and always to who you are, to what your business is, to the real tone of voice and language that you use. If you only reuse, also because every artificial intelligence machine generated content leaves a watermark, an invisible watermark that can be tracked, even if they say it can't. There are programs, there are websites online that you can put content on that and it will tell you if it's machine generated without being changed. So as of now, Google is not penalizing, but it may become. So let's not just reuse it exactly as it comes out of the machine. Let's make it yours. 80-20 is a good balance. Now we're getting close to the end. We still have one side of the triangle to think about, and it's backlinks. What are backlinks? They are third-party websites linking to yours, pointing to yours. Basically, every link, if it's a qualitative link, not a spammy link, every link that you get from another website will be seen as a token of trust. As if somebody is giving you a recommendation. Let's pretend you need an accountant, you don't know who to ask, you start asking around, and everybody's recommending you the same person. God, that's a lot of recommendations. Then you start getting the same recommendation for the same person from your best friend. Oh, that's an important one. Your partner. Okay, I want to have a word with that person, because that's how the trust will develop. And with domains, there is a technical term that is called domain trust. Google will need to create a domain trust on your domain, exactly the same. So when your site is fresh, brand new, just launched, it's like when your business is fresh, new, just launched. The trust that people have is zero. Nobody knows you. Google doesn't know you. They will willingly dump your rankings, keeping you in a sandbox for a few months. So don't get worried if once you launch a website, 6 months at least, you don't see much in terms of rankings, unless you're really, really powerful in creating links and giving lots of content and social media signals and so on. It takes a while. In the beginning, they keep you in a sandbox because they don't trust you. There's so many links, so many websites being created every day, just for the sake of creating fake network of links. All the spammy black hat link builders do this. So Google won't trust a new website just being launched. But if your site has been existing for some years, then it has automatically, just for the sake of existing, started to create a domain trust. Then you develop it by trying to get as many links pointing to your site. Think of links as if they're tokens of trust. So somebody gives a link to your site, you get one token, and so on. So for example, where can you get links? You can be mentioned in directories. So again, if you're an accountant, there are accountant directories. Directories used to be a big thing when I started. Now they're still there, particularly the non-spammy ones. Some of them are still valuable as resources if they have real traffic. So they may still have a weight. It's much lower than it used to be, but it's still worth having it. PR. Now, PR will help you with visibility, brand awareness, will give you a link in most cases, if it's not a no-follow link, because in many cases when they're big magazines, they will give you a no-follow link, which for Google doesn't really help, but it will create referral traffic and visibility. Guest posts. So think of the people that you collaborate with, that your business is connected with, and start thinking, can I write an article on your site? It will help you. It will help your readership if you've got something in common, like, I don't know, a nutritionist and a fitness consultant. There is a lot of commonality. So can I write an article for you? Would you like to publish it? And it points to my site, because in the end, there is always about the author and there is the credentials. Podcasts, everybody wants a guest for a podcast. You've got so much knowledge and expertise to share in any of your industries. So just put yourself out there and try to get as many links as possible. You're networking, you belong to some associations, so you resell somebody's products, you need to be in the suppliers list. Just think of it from a creative point of view, come out with a list of places where you can get links. Start regularly asking for links all the time, every time. Last thing, and then I will let you think of any questions you have. Google My Business. This is free and not all business owners use it. Claim your listing or create it. Make sure it's verified, it's filled as much as possible, images, videos, posts. If you do it regularly, once a week, it will float. After a week, you will get an image saying your post is about to disappear, so you can post something else. Make it really interesting, because that's a free platform that Google is given, and it gives a lot of visibility. And there are reviews that you can have on Google My Business. Again, don't leave it to chance. Ask for reviews actively all the time. Just every time you put it in your signature, every time you write something, it goes out. Send a review about us. When you have that moment of gratitude that your clients are saying how delighted they are with you, that's the moment, ask for a review. Keep asking, keep asking. And then whenever they send a review to you, make sure that you reply to them, so people will see how much you care. They will read. You can include some extra pitch to something else that you do in the replies, and everybody will read it. Now we got to the end. You've got here my contact details, the website of the company. If you have any questions, you know where to find me at any time, LinkedIn and anywhere. So we can keep the conversation open. And again, make sure that you get benefit. You take advantage of this, because that's a good offer, and it's completely for free. We'll have another chat, 1 hour, just looking at your site. What could you do more that you're not doing? Where are all of the untapped potentials? And there is always a lot that can be done. Now I can stop sharing, and Valerie, we could open the floor to questions if you want. I will, so we can start unmuting people, and I'll start reading from the bottom up, because that's easier. I will go from the top. Does the theme, Joy is asking, does the theme used to build the website make a difference to speed and page performance? Yes, indeed. In particular, because WordPress is good, but it's a huge thing. And unless you get a custom WordPress websites made with a theme generally bring with them a lot of wagons and things are heavy. They can be trimmed. There are ways to optimize websites that are made with themes, also because 99.99% of the websites done on WordPress have a theme. Custom made are hype people. But definitely there are ways to minimize, but themes do make a difference in terms of being a little bit heavier. It's not that Divi or Elementor or WP Bakery are worse than, it depends on the way it was actually made. They tend to be heavy anyway. Jade is asking if all the blogs might need to be updated. Are we better editing? That's a great question. Thank you so much, because it gets me to explain something that I hadn't said, Jade. Are we better editing the old blog or creating a new blog post with updated text and imagery? if possible, by all means, keep the content that is existing on the site and edit it, make it updated instead of deleting and reposting a new one. Because what we were saying about domain trust also exists on page level, page trust. So pages that have been existing for a while, they have developed a little bit of page trust, and they may have gotten some links, backlinks that you don't even know, because 99% of the backlinks that we have, they are absolutely casual links that we didn't ask for. And we just earned them because we wrote good stuff or because somebody linked to us and we don't even know them. So don't delete things if possible. Only delete them if you don't need them anymore. And in that case, I would recommend having a little bit of a check of an audit to see that no broken links have been created, unless you have tools to create redirections. Because when you delete something, there may be a link pointing to that. And if you delete it, you may create a broken link. And Google doesn't really like broken links much. It's one of the things that seems a little bit shabby in terms of user experience. So Google won't reward websites with a lot of broken links. But otherwise, you delete them if they're useless. So you trim the tree a little bit. Otherwise, you update things that have been existing and you make them work for longer. You extend the shelf life of your content. Julie, how often should changes be made? Well, there is no definition. Pages should change once you feel that they no longer really define you. So if that's no longer you, and you only see it when you've done that sort of audit, there may be lots of things that are still very good. There may be some sort of words that you use that could be better now, could be different now. In terms of keeping the content fresh and updated, I would say as often as possible. Let's aim for once a month at least to publish something new, the very bare minimum. I'm not saying once a week. I would say once a week. I'm being good. I'm saying once a month. But let's say once a month. And can changes be as simple as editing a few words to keep a page current? If that's all you need, then yes. I can't promise it works, because people have been playing a lot around this and saying, I found a way to trick Google, I only changed 2 words. It's a trick, and Google is good to detect when people try to trick them. So I would change as much as you can, as much as you need to make it. Again, the goal is giving user experience. So if the user experience is good, you don't even have to edit that, maybe. Then create something new. So that's entirely up to you. Valerie, thank you for answering some of the questions. Is it better to just build in Gutenberg? Well, Gutenberg doesn't add extra layers. This doesn't mean that the page speed will be perfect. It's always something that we need to see. Julie, the question, changes related to making changes to the index version of the website and optimize. So how often should changes to the website be made to update the version of it in the index and Googlebot can crawl the site? Okay, I hope I got what you were asking, Julie. You should have a sitemap on the site and possibly a dynamic sitemap. If it's a WordPress, if you got Yoast automatically creates dynamic sitemaps. We don't anymore resubmit changes on Google Search Console. That is something we used to do a while ago. If you need to go, guys, I see that people are going because it's late and we are always having back-to-back things. I will send you the recording. I'm going through all the questions as promised, as long as it takes. But if you have to go, thank you so much for being here. It was wonderful, and let's keep talking during the week. So we don't resubmit changes on Google Search Console anymore, but if we've got dynamically updated sitemaps, and they can be generated, they can be created, even if you don't have Yoast, it's easy to create and submit a sitemap on Google Search Console, then it will automatically re-update, so you don't have to change it every time. What is often daily or weekly? I think this was answered. Do backlinks from social media help? This is another question that everybody always asks, Jade. Thank you. They don't, fortunately. Backlinks from social media don't count as backlinks, but what they do, they grow your visibility. So being active on social media, active with your website, so point people, not just to increase the visibility within internally the social media channel, but try to move them from the social media to your site, because if they see your site, they may link to your site from their websites. They may buy something, they may share your website with someone. Traffic on the website would grow, the number of pages being viewed, the time on the site, so Google would rank it better. So if possible, in any possible occasion, share a link to the site. I know some social media may penalize you, may demote the visibility of a site because they've got their own interest to keep you on the social media. But if your interest is to rank better the site, try to link the site whenever you can. It's a lateral benefit, but there is definitely a benefit. Yes, I promise. I shared the video, so there are all the slides, Andrea, and thank you guys. Now there's plenty of thank yous, and I'm feeling very, very happy. I don't know. Do you have any other questions that we have not shared so far? Anything else that we haven't discussed, or any consideration? How did this make you feel? I know it was a lot, but I tried to give you as much information and knowledge as possible, because that is something that can really change a lot. And there can be small incremental changes that you do, or it can be a lot. You may realize that you don't have time to get this all done, considering how much it is. So you may want to outsource it. That's why people like us have got a company. But even if you try to get it all done in your own little bit of time, trying to find time for that, little by little, you will get great results. All right, I think that's it. Thank you, Catherine. It was lovely to see you. You've been the first one brave to say something.
Thank you.
It's another voice that's not just mine.
Thank you. Goodbye.
I'm grateful for your time and to share this time with me. See you around. Let's keep talking. If you have questions, we're always here. I hope this was helpful. And yeah, I'll get in touch. Content may. Will I lose information if I change devices of SEO? Maulana is asking us. That's a different question, because I don't know what you mean. If you change the platform, like if you move away from Wix and you go to WordPress or something like that, it depends on the URL mainly. So if you're changing the URLs, then you need to create some redirections. And rankings may become better or worse based on the new platform that you're using. Content makers do my SEO. So if you change your content makers, well, it depends on how they do their content. It depends on if they do it well optimized, fully optimized, keyword research, all of the right things in the right places. If they do all of their duty of care coding wise and so on, then that can go better. It always depends on how it's done. Okay, I think we can close it now. I stop the recording.